Hi everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today's video is a library book haul and a book haul. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name's Alice and I have way too many books. And despite having way too many books, I have still been hauling books. And last month, if you watched my last Giant TBR update, I actually did manage to get my TBR down below 150 for the first time in a while. And that was largely down to the fact that the books that I hauled in the month of April, I read during the month of April. So that was really, really helpful. Hopefully I'll be able to read some of the books I've hauled in May so that they don't ramp the TBR back up. And I have been trying really hard to read books from my shelf, although I have still got a lot of books out of the library, particularly relating to the Women's Prize for Fiction, but not limited to that. So this book haul will be in two parts in this video. The first one being books that I've borrowed recently from the library, which are largely not to do with the Women's Prize, so that's exciting. I'm feeling a bit of prize burnout at the moment, so good to get reading some things that are not to do with the Women's Prize. And secondly, I have a small pile of books that I have actually hauled onto the Giant Bookshelf this month. So without any further ado, let's look at the library books first. The first library book that I've got here is actually the most recent one that I borrowed out, and I borrowed this one thanks to Read Becca. And Read Becca made a video recently, which I will link in the description down below, which was a video recommending books to specific booktubers. And she recommended me a book, which I was very, very excited about because it was a dystopian, apocalyptic type book, and I really liked the sound of it. So I did immediately reserve that at the library. Whether that was a good idea when I already had about 20 books out of the library, I don't know, who can say, but I got it anyway. So it's already arrived, and it is A Boy and His Dog at the End of the World by C.A. Fletcher. Even this title is giving me vibes of books that I've liked before. If you've been here before and seen any of my videos about apocalyptic fiction, you will know that I loved the book The End of the World Running Club, which this title gives me vibes of, and even more so, this book gives me vibes of The Last Dog on Earth by the same author, Adrian J. Walker. Both books set in sort of dystopian apocalyptic times that I have really, really enjoyed. This is about a boy called Grizz, and he is living in a post-apocalyptic world, I believe, with his parents telling him about the time before, which sounds like our sort of time. They're living, I think, on a remote island, and I think the plot is going to mainly revolve around Grizz's dog, who is stolen, and what ensues from that. So I'm hoping to really, really love this. Becca said it had cozy vibes as well as like end of the worldish vibes, so I really like the sound of that and hope to get to it very, very soon. So the next three up are books that I reserved from the library as soon as they came out, pretty much, or just after, and they all have vague links to the Women's Prize, but the first one is The Storm We Made by Vanessa Chan. The Storm We Made by Vanessa Chan was a book I first heard about through the Women's Prize because I went to an author event at the Women's Prize Live last year where Vanessa Chan spoke about this book, and I thought it sounded really, really interesting. It is historical. It's set in Malaya in, I think, just before the Second World War and during, and revolves around a character who kind of, as far as I can tell, unwittingly becomes a spy, or wittingly, I don't know. But anyway, I'm really, really looking forward to reading this. I've heard it's quite intense, and I have not really heard that much negative about this book, so I look forward to getting to this, and really, really glad to finally pick it up from the library. And the same goes for Code Dependence by Madhumita Murgia. I'd been waiting for this since it came out, and that's because it was longlisted for the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction back when I ordered it, and it is now shortlisted for that prize, and it's the only one from that shortlist that I haven't tried at all. And when I say tried, I have read the introduction of all that she carried, but sadly I'm going to have to take it back to the library because it's got more reserves on it, so I may be able to get that back before the prize is announced. I may not be able to, which is a real shame, but I would definitely like to read this before the prize is announced. I am still midway through Thunderclap, but that's only because I keep putting it aside to finish other things that need to go back to the library. We'll definitely get that finished and hopefully read this one, which is all about the role of AI in our lives. So I think this is going to be pretty terrifying and pretty up to the minute. So yeah, looking forward to this non-fiction, if you can look forward to a quite scary sounding non-fiction. And finally, from the library part of the haul, I also ordered from the library Happiness Falls by Angie Kim. This one is only related to the Women's Prize in that I came across it when researching what I would predict for the Women's Prize for Fiction. I did predict that this would be on the list, and obviously it wasn't, but this sounds like an absolutely great novel and has sort of crime-ish elements. I believe the main character's father has gone missing and the only witness is her brother, but I think her brother is non-verbal, and it's very difficult therefore to find out what is going on. And Mia, who is the main character, is trying to sort of hunt down the clues and solve what has happened. So I like the sound of that. I don't think it will be like an out and out crime fiction. I think it's very much literary fiction, but really looking forward to diving into that one as well. The next book is not adding to my TBR. It is a book that my mum has lent me, but it's related to the TBR in that this was one of the books that my mum chose when we went out to buy our book subscriptions for each other. And this was back in March. I chose Jane Campbell's short story collection, The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night, which I have already read. And my mum chose The Sundial by Shirley Jackson. I had always thought The Sundial was one of the collections of short stories by Shirley Jackson, but it's actually a novel. So I really like the sound of this and would like to read it too, so my mum, now she has read it, has lent it to me. This sounds like typical unsettling Shirley Jackson. I can't wait to read more from Shirley Jackson outside of like her really famous couple of books which I've read. And this says on the back, Mrs. Halloran has inherited the great Halloran house on the death of her son, much to the disgust of her daughter-in-law, the delight of her wicked granddaughter, and the confusion of the rest of the household. But when the original owner, long dead, arrives to announce the world is ending and only the house and its occupants will be saved, they find themselves in a nightmare of strange marble statues, mysterious guests, and the beautiful, unsettling Halloran sundial, which seems to be at the centre of it all. Shirley Jackson blends sinister family politics and apocalyptic terror in a masterpiece of the macabre. Could not resist this at all. I actually also wanted to pick this one, but my mum had already picked it, so we decided that was a definite buy and that we would share it. I would have it second. So that's one I want to get to soon as well. On to the books that will definitely be adding to my TBR. The next two are the books that I've chosen from me and my mum's subscription. We didn't manage to find a book that we wanted when we went book shopping in April. So we rolled over April and we bought two books for each other each in May, and these are my two. So the first one that I picked is Beast in the Shadows by Edogawa Rampo. I've been really interested in this one for a while, since it came out. These new green modern classics of crime and espionage have been really appealing to me, and particularly this one, which I saw on a trip to London last year and wanted to get it, and it is absolutely tiny. It's such a slim volume, so I really wanted to get that. On the front it says, "A gem, you finish one chapter thirsty for the next." Edogawa Rampo was is apparently generally viewed as the greatest of all Japanese suspense and mystery authors. He was a prolific novelist and short story writer. Much influenced by writers such as Conan Doyle, Chesterton and Wells, his pseudonym is a Japanese transliteration of Edgar Allan Poe's name. Many of his works have been made into films. So I was intrigued by that. This one has been translated by Ian Hughes, and it's about the chance meeting between a crime novelist and a married woman which blossoms into a friendship. But she confides to this novelist that she's been receiving threatening and sadistic letters from an ex-lover who says he is watching her in the shadows. And the novelist wants to help her, but the trail unexpectedly leads to another mysterious and secretive writer, and yeah, nobody is safe. So love the sound of that, can't wait to get to it. The other book that I chose for my subscription book for May is Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica, another translated one. So this one's translated from the Spanish by Sarah Moses, and I have wanted to read this pretty much my entire time on booktube, because I can remember Gemma from Gemma Books reviewing this book quite early on when she was first on booktube, and saying to me that I would really like it because it's dystopian and it is really terrible, I think, because it is famously about a society where they are now basically cannibals. I think animal meat is no longer viable to eat, so they eat human meat, which sounds horrendous, but equally definitely a book that I want to read, and I've wanted to read it ever since I first heard about it. I think my mum thought I was quite mad when I told her what this was about, but yeah, I like a good dystopia, and I would like to find out what the hype is about this one. So that was the other book that we bought for the subscription. I've also been buying myself some Saga graphic novels, and the latest one is volume 4. I bought this for myself in May, just a general treat to myself, and I've also got volume 5 is on the way in the post at the moment, I believe. I've been buying these second hand, either on World of Books or on eBay, because yeah, then it's a lot less expensive, and graphic novels are very expensive. If you've seen my recent wrap-ups, you'll know I'm really enjoying the Saga series and can't wait to get further along with it. So yes, I also got that. And finally, my last book that I have hauled in the month of May is a proof copy, and this is the first proof that I have ever been sent while I've been on booktube, and yeah, the first proof that I've accepted from somebody. This book is called Briefly Very Beautiful by Ros Dineen, and it is due to come out on the 5th of June this year. Cannot wait to read this, and previously I have been a bit like, I better not get any proofs because I have too many books on the giant bookshelf already. But what was I to do when A, there was a quote in the email from Lee Child saying it was a great book, and B, this is a dystopian, post-apocalyptic or during apocalyptic type of book. So yes, Briefly Very Beautiful is, as far as I'm aware, a debut novel, and it is about, I think, a main character who is trying to raise her 3 small children in a world where like global catastrophe is going on, and life in the city is becoming increasingly difficult, and the main character's husband, I think, is away fighting in a war as well. It sounds very interesting, very apocalyptic, and just the sort of book that I really enjoy. So thank you very much to Bloomsbury for sending me this. Very excited to have a proof to read, and hopefully I will manage to get this fitted in and read before the 5th of June. So very much looking forward to trying this. So that brings us to the end of my book haul for today. Obviously a mixture of library books and books that have been bought for me and sent to me, and I am really looking forward to trying all of them. Do let me know in the comments which of these do you think you would prioritise. Are there any of these that are on your radar? or that you are hoping to read in the near future. Have you actually read any of these? I would love to hear from you if you have. If you don't have a comment to leave today, please do leave me a book haul related emoji. And if you have enjoyed this video, I would love it if you gave it a like and considered subscribing if you haven't already. And I will hope very much to see you all again soon for another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.